This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome to the Fan Report show made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and joining me today is Andrew's going to give us this week's topics.
Well, it's draft week in the NFL, so if you haven't had enough NFL draft talk, here comes another full hour of it. It's the Fan Report.
Another full hour of it? God, that just sounds so like...
Did I sell it?
You sold me on me probably not even wanting to do it. Honestly, this week, while simultaneously like being exciting as Lions fan, because this is essentially our playoffs and Super Bowl, because that's all we get here as a Lions fan, it is also like one of the most exhausting weeks because of the fact that you are so prospect fatigued and tired. I don't want to look at another mock draft if I wouldn't if I didn't have to. I don't want to.
I've shifted over to looking at NBA mock drafts.
Which I don't blame you. And
early shift, but I've already started.
We will have to regardless because that's, we cover the Pistons also, obviously. But I'm tired of NFL mocks. Like I check them far too often, and it's always the same scenarios. So it's exhausting. And
the thing is, like, we try to balance it out every week where we're not always talking about draft, even though that seems to be like the biggest topic. But this week, you just can't avoid it. It's draft week. You got to talk about it. And so we're just going to give you one last draft bash before we find out what the Lions do on Thursday.
Draft bash. God, you make it sound so fun. And okay, don't get me wrong. I like talking NFL draft. I enjoy it. It is fun to look at the possible prospects and see and, fit them into our system and look at a new coaching regime and say, okay, I think they would like this guy. It is fun. But after doing it week in and week out we're going on 2-3 months now of basically doing this, it gets kind of tiring. But I am excited for the draft. I am excited for mock draft season to be over. And I know we're going to get the way too early mocks for next year as soon as this draft comes to its conclusion. But I am excited for the draft, and I'm ready to see who the Lions get and what we end up doing with them. And I'm ready to see the Lions get to work for next season.
Do you have a favorite part of like draft season? I'm not gonna let you say the draft because that's everyone's actual favorite part. But like, do you have a favorite part of draft season?
Honestly, it's probably coming up and doing mocks with friends.
Interesting.
Like, so if you remember on our live show how we used to do our own mock draft every single week, we do a mock draft where we do 5 picks at a time and give our analysis on each pick.
So we basically do the whole first round over the course of like a month. Yeah.
Right. And like that right there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really good debates there. A lot of, back and forth and banter, and it was fun. Like that, honestly, I'd say is probably my favorite thing to do. I obviously like watching a little bit of the combine. Again, I think the combine's a little overrated, I'll be honest with you. I watch some film on some guys, but again, I watch enough college football to where I don't necessarily need to watch film on all of these guys. But
I'll say I used to watch the combine a lot more in college than I do now, but that's partially because in college our TV was always on like ESPN Sports Center, like it just by default. So the combine was on, like you didn't have a choice but to watch it.
But I definitely would say like doing mocks with friends or coworkers or whoever, just doing mocks with other people and not just by myself or looking at other people's mocks. Like it's actually physically sitting down and making the picks for teams and trying to guess as to what I think what each team would take. But I'm curious to hear what yours is.
Mine's a little different. Mine's trying to decipher which teams are sent on a smokescreen and which teams are being legit.
Fair enough. I like that too.
I love trying to call out smokescreens. It's so fun to me. Like, we had some debate on this show.
It's a smokescreen.
Where the whole Mac Jones going third to the Niners thing was a smokescreen. And I think we still haven't figured that out. But
well, according to Adam Schefter, it's not. I mean, he's tweeted out the other day that the Niners have pretty much narrowed it down to just he and Trey Lance, to just Mac Jones and Trey Lance. But now I'm hearing reports that Justin Fields is also under their radar. So I don't know.
What I've heard is the scouting department and staff everyone's recommending Trey Lance, but Shanahan is basically launching a crusade to draft Mac Jones. He's leading the Mac Jones charge and just going against his own scouting department.
Well, Shanahan is the one making the picks for that team. He is the one in charge. So there's a good chance Mac Jones will be the guy. But it also seems to me like Mac Jones is more of the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan is looking for in his system. I mean, you look at what he wanted with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think Mac Jones kind of falls in line with that. He's the prototypical field general. He doesn't have the highest or the greatest intangibles at pretty much any level, but he's a guy who doesn't turn the ball over a ton. He's got great field awareness. He can read the defense well, and that's pretty much what Kyle Shanahan wanted out of Jimmy Garoppolo, and he just didn't get it out of him. And when he did, it didn't last long because the guy just got hurt constantly. Yeah. So Mac Jones kind of fits what Kyle Shanahan has been looking for years now, and that's why I think a lot of analysts are saying that that's probably the route they go. No, I'll end up telling you right now that I think Trey Lance, possibly outside of maybe Trevor Lawrence, has probably the highest ceiling of any of the quarterback prospects in this draft. But he's also the biggest question mark. He's the biggest boomer bust prospect, arguably, in this draft entirely, because he does have such high upside. He has like top tier level, arm strength and mobility in the pocket and outside the pocket. He can make that throw when you need him to. That he can make pretty much any throw on the field, which is, I think, is one of the most overused cliches when talking about a quarterback is he can make any throw on the field. Can he, though? Can he? Because in my lifetime, I've only known probably one quarterback that I can legitimately say can make any throw you need him to on the football field, and it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't know of any other quarterback that could do it.
Which QB would you say is the biggest wild card in terms of where they can go in the draft? I'd say biggest potential to fall.
I'd say it's Justin Fields. Okay. I think you add in the fact that, yes, he is an Ohio State quarterback, which already is a strike against him. Mm-hmm. You add in the fact that he did see some up and down portions to his season, especially towards the end of the season. You also have to add in the recent news that came out that he's been dealing with epilepsy, which is going to end up causing his stock to fall a little bit. Or if teams aren't worried, as a lot of doctors are saying, there's nothing to be worried about here. It is something that his family has dealt with, genetically speaking, and he's eventually just going to grow out of it. So, I mean, I think he's really the biggest wild card in terms of where he could fall in this draft. I can see him going as high as 2 or 3, and I could see him also falling into the teens. It's all over the place where Justin Fields could end up going.
Well, there's a reason I asked this, because we're going to give you the first, so it's probably going to be a lot of mock drafts on this episode. Did you see Chris Sims' mock draft that he put out today?
I probably have. I looked at a lot of them today.
Well, I'll give you the first 10 picks, and then I'll elaborate from there. But he's got Trevor Lawrence going 1, Zach Wilson 2, Mac Jones 3. Atlanta goes Kyle Pitts at 4. Jamar Chase gets taken at 5 by Cincy. Miami takes a wide receiver, Devontae Smith, at number 6. Detroit lands Penei Sewell. I'm assuming you're happy with that.
I'm ecstatic. I think the Bengals and Miami are stupid. Well, the Miami not so much, but the Bengals definitely are stupid for not taking Penei Sewell.
Do you buy into only 3 quarterbacks will be taken in the top 7?
Yes and no. I think it is entirely a possibility. I don't consider it to be a likelihood. Okay. I think that there's enough teams that are quarterback needy that are willing to trade up into that top 7 to go get that 4th quarterback, that it's going to happen. It may happen because of a trade, but if things stand pat, I think is where you see the highest likelihood that we only see 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 7. I definitely think and believe that we will have at least 4 taken in the top 10, maybe even 5. But I definitely think the least or the most likely scenario for us to not see 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 7 is if everybody stands pat where they are. Atlanta's the big wild card in my mind because, well, are they going to look towards the future, or are they going to look and say, hey, let's run it back with Matt Ryan? That's the big question mark, because I really think that team is in a situation where they're a far better roster than a team that is picking at number 4 overall. There's no question about it. And that's where I'd say that, maybe they will take advantage of that and go get their quarterback of the future. And I think they should, in my opinion. But at the same time, they could also look at it and say, hey, we do have this great roster. Matt Ryan's still a good quarterback in this league. Let's add to the weapons that we have and try to run it back. And then it won't matter where we're picking at this point because we got an elite talent to add to our roster. And we're competing again for the playoffs and maybe even a Super Bowl. So it doesn't even matter where we're picking next year because we hope to be picking at the back of the draft. So you could argue it just depends on what they're looking at. Are they looking towards, next year and maybe the year after? Or are they looking at the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. Well, you gave me a lot longer answer than I was looking for, but thank you.
I'm good at doing that.
Yeah. So just to round it out here, so Washington at number 8 takes Trey Lance. That's the fourth QB off the board. Micah Parsons goes to Denver. Dallas actually takes Pat Surtain at 10, and then New England sitting at 11 with Justin Fields on the board, who they reportedly have.
So
a lot
they
of
traded up
interest
to
in.
11 then, because I thought they were at 15.
They traded up to 11 they traded with the Giants.
Okay,
and but they take Jalen Waddle. They trade up to take Jalen Waddle in this mock
instead of a quarterback.
So now Justin Fields is in no man's land because
this is where you see the Aaron Rodgers-esque fall in the first round for him.
Chris Sims has him going number 32 to Tampa Bay.
I think there's no way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's no way. And the reason I say that is, while yes, there's not another team beyond that really is quarterback needy, I still believe that there is a team that will be willing to jump back in to those mid to late teens and say, I'm getting me Justin Fields. Yeah. There is somebody that is going to jump in if he falls beyond like 13 or 14. Somebody will jump in back into the first round and take him.
And I could even argue a team like Minnesota might actually be interested in taking him. I could argue a team like Chicago might be interested in taking him. I could argue a team like Pittsburgh might be interested in taking him. I could argue New Orleans could be interested in taking him.
They better be.
I feel like there's a lot of teams there that would be in the market for even Indy. Like
absolutely. I
just can't see him going by that many teams.
No, I completely agree. There's a bunch of teams that I think could and should be looking at one of these top tier quarterbacks if one ends up falling into their laps. I don't necessarily think Indy is a team that would be willing to take a first round pick on a quarterback. They did just trade for Carson Wentz, who is still young. And two,
by the way, did you hear
that's a team looking to compete for a Super Bowl.
One thing I saw the other day was they actually called Andrew Luck and asked him if he's sure he wasn't going to make a comeback before they made it.
There were a lot of rumors that Andrew Luck could come back this year, and I kind of want to see it happen. I'm a big Andrew Luck fan. I think he's stupid good, and I don't think we ever got to see his fullest potential. And I think with that Indy offensive line the way it is, that he would just be in heaven. They just get him some weapons, and bada boom, bada bing, that team's a Super Bowl team right there. Like, I would love to see this Indy team with Andrew Luck under center. I'd be so ecstatic with that.
It's like you broke up with a girl and you're on Bumble. You met someone. You sure you don't want to get back together? I want to go on a date, and I want to make sure that we're not cheating.
But I definitely think that Justin Fields is really the biggest wild card there, but I don't see him falling. I don't even see him really falling beyond 21, 22. Because, again, I definitely think there is a team that is willing to buy back into the first round to get him if he does fall. And in that 20, 21, 22, it may not be as expensive as it would be to jump back into the teens to go get a guy like that. And that's where I think teams will really... Once you see number 20 come up is where trade watch it needs to happen.
Another controversial pick he has here is Rashawn Slater back at 20 to Chicago. He has... two other tackles being taken ahead of Rashawn Slater, not including Penei Sewell.
So he's actually a guy that I've seen fall a little bit as we get closer to the draft as well, on certain people's boards. Not everybody's boards, because there's still a lot of people that think he is a complete prospect as a tackle. But there are a lot of scouts out there that say that he's probably not going to be a guy who plays outside. You're probably drafting him to play inside as a guard, and whether or not he's that good as a guard to justify taking him in that early first round or even mid first round, that's the question mark, because you don't really see too many guards go in that position unless they're like stupid good, like all world talent level guard. So, and that's where I do see Rashawn Slater falling a little bit. I still believe he's going to be a solid outside tackle in this league, but there are scouts that disagree with that and think he's going to end up playing guard, albeit a good guard, but a guard nonetheless.
But yeah, that's how I wanted to bring this up because that's the first time I've seen a quarterback basically make it past New England in a mock draft. And if they make it past New England, it's kind of no man's land at that point. But
it is.
I still don't see him dropping all the way to 32.
I mean, that's where you see the Aaron Rodgers type fall. And we see it almost every year with somebody where we say, okay, why hasn't he been taken yet? And then stuff comes out about him or nothing comes out, and it's just a big question mark for the guy's entire career. And then he goes on to win multiple MVPs and win a Super Bowl. And everybody regrets passing on him. But either way. Now, are you at all... Now, bringing it back to the Lions, are you... If the Lions were to get Micah Parsons in this draft, are you at all worried about the off-the-field issues? Because that has been a big reason why he has fallen in a lot of mocks, outside the top 10 in particular, is the off-the-field trouble he's been getting... He had gotten into, and some of the situations he puts himself in, and who he surrounds himself with.
I mean, you can't... You'd be lying if you said off the field issues were a non-issue. Basically, like you'd be lying.
I mean, look at Reuben Foster. He's a guy who had off the field issues, and that has come back to bite him.
But I've always been on the side of I'm taking the talent and hoping and praying that
he gets his shit together.
Yeah, the coaching staff can get to him and help him get his shit together. I guess with Micah Parsons, I don't know. I feel like I have not heard as much as I have with prospects in prior drafts. Like, not trying to downplay his off the field issues, but like it almost feels like it was something that almost came up late as an afterthought. And I remember my first thought about it was like, oh, this team's trying to sink his draft stock a bit. But 'cause I remember not even hearing about his off the field issues till like last month. So,
well, I mean, I think that's kind of when it started to come up was last month. He, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what exactly we're talking about, he was accused. He had to transfer to another school because he was accused of inciting a riot at the school. He also has a history of causing controversy on social media. So there's a lot of questions about his character. No, I don't believe he has anything like a domestic violence case or a sexual assault case against him. And that's probably why you haven't heard as much about it, because this is more of a question of his character more so than this dude's done some bad shit and, you need to really worry about him. He also has been involved in fights with teammates and stuff like that. So there are character questions regarding Micah Parsons. And that kind of is more one that glares out to me, because then you start looking at players that don't gain the locker room, so to speak. And this is a guy who you would want to be a leader of your defense. If he's getting into fights or altercations with teammates and having problems with teammates, then he's not going to get his teammates to buy into what he's trying to preach to out there. And that's a big issue in my mind. So that one kind of sticks out to me quite a bit.
You need your linebackers to be your highest character guys in the defense, because they're often the captains of the defense.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. Ray Lewis wasn't exactly the highest character guy out there, but he still had everybody buying.
On the field, he was the highest character guy. But we do got to keep it moving. But I do have one thing that just broke while you were speaking. This is courtesy of Pro Football Talk. The Dolphins reportedly favor Jalen Waddle over Jamar Chase with their number 6 pick.
I think it's full of shit. You want me to be honest? Like, I straight up think that is a bold-faced lie. I would be shocked if they take the pick. But you know what? It is very Miami Dolphins-esque.
What's the point of that? They try to basically downplay their interest in Jamar Chase, so they're afraid a team is going to jump to 5 and take him. Like, maybe
they're worried about Atlanta taking Jamar Chase at 5. Maybe they want Atlanta, because Atlanta's one of those teams that could be looking, or at 4. Sorry, Atlanta's one of those teams that could be looking at a weapon to add to their roster, and Jamar Chase is a pretty damn good one. So he could be a guy that would be interested, that the Falcons would be interested in. Maybe the Dolphins are trying to downplay their interest in Jamar Chase and try to sell Jalen Waddle a little bit.
It's like when you're in a white elephant and like someone gets socks and then you have like the Bluetooth speaking, like, guys, that is the dopest pair of socks I've ever seen.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what that is.
Please don't take my Bluetooth speaker.
I don't buy it one bit. I get the hype around Jalen Waddle. I know he's been compared to Tyreek Hill and the skill set there, but Jamar Chase looks like a pretty damn good wide receiver if you ask me.
All right, let's get this buy or sell. So we have a bunch of different Lions, I guess I don't want to call them rumors, but basically tidbits of information from different sources. And this is courtesy of Chris Burke and Nick Baumgartner of The Athletic. So I just wanted to sift through these, and we're just going to buy or sell what we're hearing. And the first one is that multiple sources have told The Athletic that the Lions would like to trade back from number 7 and have made that desire known. Oh, and also for what it's worth, there's absolutely been zero buzz about Detroit looking to move up.
Buy the first half, do not buy the second half. I think the Lions, I'm pretty sure I've heard buzz around the Lions trying to move up in this draft. Maybe I dreamt it. But I'm pretty sure I have heard buzz about the Lions trying to move up in this draft at some point. Do I think there's a ton of buzz surrounding it? No. But I do buy that the Lions are trying to move back, that they like their spot to move back, that they believe that there is a team that wants to come up and get one of these top-notch quarterback prospects, and the Lions are dangling that pick out there. I think they're very actively dangling that pick out there and waiting for somebody to bite on it just hard enough. And I absolutely buy it the Lions are trying to move back in this draft.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's something we've been speculating on from basically the beginning because of the fact that there's projected to be such a run on quarterbacks in the first half of the first round and the Lions are not, at least at the moment, and not in a position where they absolutely need to draft a quarterback. So we've talked about how much value that number 7 pick could have to move back, and the Lions are in a position where there's so many positions in need that they can just accumulate draft capital and take a guy like Micah Parsons a few picks back. So it makes a lot of sense for Lions to move back, and that's why I buy it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard much about them trying to move up, so I also buy that there's no buzz about them trying to move up. But yeah, I haven't heard much about it. But number 2 here, in his Broncos mock this week, Nick Cosma wrote that he got the sense the Broncos would be willing to make a more modest move to number 6 or number 7 to draft their quarterback. His proposal has Detroit sending picks number 9. It's Denver sending picks number 971 and a 2022 second to Detroit to move up to number 7.
You said that was
971 and 2022 second.
So we're talking a first, a third, and a 2022 second. I'd do that. I'd buy that. To move back 2 spots, we probably still get a prospect that we like a lot in this draft. Yeah, I'd do that, absolutely.
I can almost guarantee Michael Parsons will be there. You'll have your pick. You might have your pick of Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle if you're looking receiver.
And you could still end up getting...
I'm confident Rashawn Slater is probably still be there 9.
Right. If you wanted to go O-line, Rashawn Slater probably is still there. Like you mentioned, Jalen Waddle. You'll have your pick of at least one of the 3 top wide receiver prospects. I mean, crazier things have happened, but Penei Sewell could somehow manage to slide there in a miracle type situation. But there's going to be value at number 9. And obviously you mentioned Micah Parsons. And plus you're adding draft capital in this draft as well as next draft. Yeah, I have no problems with the Lions doing that. To move back 2 spots, yeah, I'll do that for sure.
So Chargers beat writers have noted on multiple occasions, this is number 3, by the way, that Chargers GM Tom Telesco.
Are you buying any of these?
Oh, sorry. I didn't even say if I buy. I am 100% buying it. I actually love it. That this if I'm moving back, this is the type of move back I want to do. A couple picks back where you get some solid draft capital and you still probably get a really good prospect at where you're moving to. You're not really sacrificing much. It's almost free draft picks the way I view it. So anyway, so Chargers beat writers have been reporting on multiple occasions that GM Tom Telesco could move up for Penei Sewell rather than wait for their tackle. Chargers are sitting at number 13 right now. Do you buy a trade back to number 13 if Penei Sewell is on the board?
No, I don't. I sell that, and the reason is because I think the Lions would rather take the guy in Penei Sewell than allow another team to go get him. I think the Chargers would have to give up a literal king's ransom to move up to where the Lions are to get Penei Sewell because of the fact that the Lions do need a guy like Penei Sewell. So it's them willingly passing up on a position of need and the best player at that position of need in this draft to move back. And I don't see the Lions doing that. I think they value offensive line a lot more than maybe some of the previous GMs that the Lions have had in their semi-recent history, just because of who the coaching staff is and what their philosophies are. I mean, Dan Campbell was a tight end in this league. He knows how important offensive line and is in playing in the trenches is and being physical and strong in that category. So I would absolutely think the Lions would much rather be going after Penei Sewell than passing on him to move back and get maybe the second best prospect at that position or going elsewhere with their pick.
Let me paint a scenario for you. If it nets us a additional first round pick next year, plus their third and fifth this year, and I can guarantee you that Rashawn Slater would be on the board, is that a move you make?
All right, you're throwing a lot of ifs out there.
Yeah, I know.
Like lot of ifs out there. And I think you may have, like, if you couldn't guarantee me Rashawn Slater is on the board, I probably would still say no, because we already still have a ton of draft capital next year. I do believe that this offensive line is more so just a right tackle away from getting into that top 10 category.
So it hinged on Rashawn Slater being on the board there.
It probably did. I still am not entirely sold on it, but I think that's where you start hitting the point where I would be willing to make that trade. I probably would at that point, but again, there's a lot of ifs that have to happen for me to be willing to pass on Penei Sewell at that spot.
Yeah, but I agree with you here because, like I've mentioned in previous podcasts, I feel like there's a top tier of skill position players in this draft, and then there's also Penei Sewell. And I feel like the skill position players are a luxury where I'd be willing to move back because, again, I view them as a luxury. And it's almost too early in our rebuild to have guys like Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts.
We're essentially in year one of our rebuild. We got to understand that.
Exactly. And I also believe in building from the trenches out. But Penei Sewell is, I feel like, if you're building from the trenches, he's the crown jewel of this draft. And if you're sitting there at 7, he's there. That's like the guy that I ideally would want us to take at 7. And to ask us to move back to 13 when I can't even guarantee Rashawn Slater is going to be there anymore either, it's kind of a big move back. And like you said, I might need a king's ransom to move back, assuming Penei Sewell's on the board at 7.
100% agree.
All right, next one up. New England is still considered a possible trade partner for the Lions, number 15, so long as Trey Lance or Justin Fields is still on the board. So the Athletics chef Howe mocked a New England trade with Detroit where the Lions get number 15, number 120, and a 2022 first to move back and give New England their number 7 overall pick. Are you buying that?
Yes, but it's going to depend on what's available on the board for the Lions at number 7. Again, I think if Penei Sewell's there, they don't pass up on him. But if he's not, and you're looking at Kyle Pitts and Devontae Smith in the face, then I'd probably go for it and say, yeah, I will trade back with the Pats. I'll take number 15. I'll take your first next year, and I'll take your, what was it, a third-round pick this year as well?
120. I think it's like a
fourth-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Give me 2 firsts and a fourth to move back 8 spots. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I also agree if Penei Sewell is in there at 7, I'm going to be a lot more hesitant to take the deal.
I'll be honest with you. I think there's 2 guys. All right, within reason. Let me, preface it with that. I mean, if Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence are available to the Lions at number 7, they obviously would add to this list. But within reason, I think there are 2 guys in this draft that would honestly make me really not prefer the Lions to draft back, and it's Penei Sewell and maybe Jamar Chase. I'm
also not Kyle Pitts.
No,
Interesting.
I'm excited about Kyle Pitts, but I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of comparisons to Darren Waller lately for Kyle Pitts.
I saw him from the jump. From when you put him on my radar, and I just don't agree with him. It doesn't make much sense to me.
It really doesn't to me either. But like at the same time, while Darren Waller is a really, really, really good tight end in this league and a really good player and would be great to have, I don't think this team is ready to be going after a guy like that. And even to an extent, Jamar Chase as well. Like, I just don't think this team is entirely ready to go after a guy like that because I feel like we'd be wasting the young years of his career because I don't.
We would be.
I would be essentially doing what we did to Calvin Johnson to him. You know, when this team is ready to win, he's a little bit beat up, and we don't get to see the full length of his prime when this team's at its peak. And I don't think we're a wide receiver away from competing. I mean, we had a wide receiver last year, and we still sucked. So
the bright side to that argument, though, is that tight ends do generally have a longer lifespan in the NFL than the other skill positions.
They do, but I'm more referring to Jamar Chase here.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought, sorry.
Like Kyle Pitts, I don't know. It's hard for me to be willing to be happy with the Lions going back to that tight end well. And I know I've sold him, and I know I've talked about how excited I am about him as a prospect, but I don't know. I have the right to change my mind on it, or I'm not as excited about the Lions drafting another tight end, so to speak. I don't know. I feel like I'm putting a lot more emphasis on going from in the trenches out than I have in weeks past, and that's kind of where I think the Lions need to be looking as well. Because I think skill positions at this point in your rebuild, which we are essentially year one, they're luxury picks at this point, and I don't think the Lions are in a position where a luxury pick is the way to go. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Next up, on the Rich Eisen show last week, Rich Eisen asked Lions coach Dan Campbell to break down a scenario in which Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Micah Parsons were the top options available at number 7. This was Dan Campbell's response. He said, I feel like when you're picking at 7, whoever that player is needs to check every box, in my opinion. And I think Brad feels the same way, top to bottom. You're talking everything from the intangibles to he's a prototype, how does he look, how does he run, what's his production, everything across the board. All 3 of those players are, I believe, worthy in that range. I'd be happy with any of those guys. Do you think Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Micah Parsons check every box, in your opinion?
So I first want to jump out and say that this scenario is a crock of shit. And the reason I say that is because those guys aren't the highest available, the best available players at that point if those 3 are the ones that are there, because that would mean that one of or both Trey Lance and Justin Fields would have had to fall to you. Those are, news flash, those are both highly touted prospects, and I think the Lions would be willing to shop that pick at that point.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
So if the Lions are hell-bent on taking somebody that's not a quarterback and are hell-bent at not trading back, and they, gun to their head, they have to take that pick at 7, and those are the top 3 guys, I'm going to say no. I don't think all of them check all my boxes. And the reason I say that is because looking at Micah Parsons, yes, he's a guy who goes everywhere on the field. He's what you wanted Jared Davis to be in all reality. Like, he's a guy who can play coverage linebacker. He's a guy who can go sideline to sideline as a linebacker, and that's, he can be a leader on the field, but he's got the character issues, and he's not necessarily an elite tier interior pass rusher. There's the 2 checks that aren't there for Micah Parsons. You look at Devontae Smith. Size is a huge concern with Devontae Smith. That's a glaring one right there. You look at Jalen Waddle.
Same thing.
Size and injury history. Like, there's glaring detractors from all 3 of these prospects. So no, none of them really can, technically speaking, check all of my boxes for what I'd be looking for. But again, at number 7, is there really anyone that's going to check all of your boxes? I'm going to be honest and say no. There's really not.
That's a top 3 pick thing.
Exactly.
But and it's just semantics. But when I think of the word prototype, I think of if you could build this player, this position in a lab, what would it look like?
DK Metcalf.
Exactly. I wouldn't make my receiver 5'10". I'm sorry.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. Absolutely not. Like, that he just kind of screams slot corner to me, unless both of them do, frankly, unless they have this elite level route running and speed that they turn into Tyreek Hill.
But that's all the buy sells.
Did I say slot corner? I meant slot receiver. So before we get on into us essentially assuming Brad Holmes' role, I wanted to ask you a quick question. Just kind of throw something out there. I named one of my biggest cliches that annoys me the most about pre-draft talk and draft talk. What do you think is the most overused cliche when it comes to the draft?
Generational talent. I feel like you hear that about someone every other year.
I would argue you hear about it every year, and it's almost never true.
Those
we
guys
get
are
one every
generational
now
talent.
and then, but how many guys are really generational talents?
He checks all the boxes you could want out of a quarterback.
He can make any throw on the field. He's got such incredible arm strength that
He
isn't
can
a
throw
pass he
60
can't make.
yards flat-footed.
Oh, that one drives me nuts. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot. I still remember the first time I heard that cliche, the 6 yards flat-footed was Jamarcus Russell. My mind was blown.
God,
Like, how
he
do you
turned
throw
out to be
six-
such an amazing quarterback in this
Right?
league. Arm strength ain't everything in this league, let me tell you. Oh, man. So let's go ahead and move on into some of, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this, where instead of just going through other people's mocks, which is, I think, again, one of the most tired things you can do on a podcast. And we do it every now and then, but we don't go pick by pick.
We did it.
Kind of, sort of. We didn't go
We
pick
did
by
Chris
pick.
Sims. Not pick by pick. We did Chris Sims mock,
yeah.
but that was because it was unique.
Right. So instead, we're going to use a draft simulator, a mock draft simulator, and we're going to assume the role of Brad Holmes here to make our pick at number 7. And I will go take it further and say we can mock trades here. I'm going to try to figure it out with this, but we can mock trades here. All right?
Interesting.
So let's start it off here. Obviously, we're going to be picking at number 7 with the Lions. Starting the draft, the Jags obviously on the clock. Why isn't it taking the... Oh, there we go. All right, so to start the draft, Zach Wilson went number 1 overall. So this is already a busted mock.
Wait, what?
Yep. Trevor Lawrence, number 2. Justin Fields, 3. Kyle Pitts, 4. Jamar Chase, 5. Penei Sewell, 6.
Did the Jets pay the Jags some gross sum of money to not take Trevor Lawrence?
They must have. So
Or they bribed him. Or blackmailed him, I mean.
maybe. So in my opinion, this is kind of a worst case scenario for the Lions because that
Wait, so
does
who's on the
leave-
board right now?
Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons, Trey Lance, Rashawn Slater are the biggest names on the board. So this is kind of really, in my opinion, worst case scenario for the Lions at number 7 because all of Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, and Penei Sewell are gone.
So what you do is if I'm Brad Holmes, I am calling up the New England Patriots. I am seeing if they have interest in moving to number 7 to pick
What
Trey
about
Lance.
calling the Denver Broncos? Let's start with them. So there are 6 teams that'd be willing to trade up with you here.
Yeah.
I like this simulator because it gives you situations that could actually work.
Well, let me tell you why I said the Patriots. Because of the fact that the way you just laid it out, prospects that are left on the board, other than maybe Micah Parsons, I'm not in love with. So I'm okay picking at 15 and either hoping one of those guys falls to 15 or just taking my shot with someone else and just getting a bigger return in the trade in terms of draft capital. So that's why I said the Patriots, and I'll obviously be open to a trade with the Broncos at 9 as well.
So fun fact, they do not list as the Patriots as a team interested in pick number 7 at this point.
Oh, they list teams interested?
Yes.
Interesting.
I can still do a trade with the Patriots.
Our athletic buy-sell had the Patriots interested in Justin Fields and Trey Lance.
Well, they both are available. Well, Justin Fields is not. Trey Lance is.
Trey Lance is.
So we can do a trade with the Patriots. So what would you want from the Patriots to move back from 7 to 15?
Future first,
22
third-round
or
pick.
23?
22, third-round pick this year, and obviously their pick, 15.
Yep.
That'd be my starting point. If I can get anything more out of them, it'd be bonus, but that'd be my starting point.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. We could go with that. Why isn't it letting me? Oh, here we go. There we go. So we are giving up 7. In return, we're getting 1596 in 2022 first. Do they accept? They do not accept the trade.
Bastards.
They turned that one down. So teams interested in pick 7 are the Broncos, the Vikings, the Titans, the Steelers, the Jags, and the Texans. Any of those interest you?
Repeat that?
Broncos, Vikings, Titans, Steelers, Jags, and Texans.
Well, let's go Broncos. It's only a 2-pick move.
Okay. So pick
Third
9.
Third this year, second next year, their pick.
Just for 7.
So yeah, their pick this year, number 9,
Number
third
71.
this year, and their second
round
next year.
pick next year. Let's see.
Yep.
That trade is accepted. We move back to number 9. So let's go ahead and resume.
You agree
this
with
draft.
that? Chris
we talked about
Chris Holmes, Brad Holmes, twin.
I do, and we talked about that in the buy or sell. I think that's a scenario where I would be happy with the Lions moving back 2 spots there. I'm not entirely in love with what's available, and frankly, the guy that I would be happy with there probably still going to be available to me at number 9. So let's go ahead and resume the draft here. Available to us at number 9. So the Broncos moved up to take Mac Jones, and then they moved up. Then the Panthers ended up saying, "All right, sweet, we'll take Trey Lance at number 8." So available to us are still Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons, and Rashawn Slater. What are you doing here? Are we trading back again? Because interested in pick number 9 would be the Giants at 11, the Dolphins at 18, the Ravens at 27, and the Texans, who don't have a first-round pick or second-round pick, they're picking at 67.
I mean, yeah, Michael might go 10 to the Cowboys.
Michael could go 10 to the Cowboys, especially considering Sean Lee was
Yeah.
recently retired.
I was about to say I'm comfortable picking 11 and just saying Mike is probably still going to be there, but I forgot about the Cowboys at 10.
Do you want to just take Micah Parsons here at number 9?
I may just take Micah Parsons at number 9 there.
All right, we're taking Micah Parsons at number 9.
What do you? Oh, so you agree?
Yeah, I do. I'm fine with that as well. I don't think it's a bad situation at all. Do you want to go into the second round, or do you want to just do another mock?
Nah.
Let's do another mock.
How many do you want to do? 3, 5?
Yeah, we could do 3 or 5.
2 different numbers, but okay.
Yeah.
We'll do 3. We'll see where we're at on time because we're already running long. But
All right, so doing another one here. Starting the draft. All right, this one went fairly similar. Trevor, but a little more likely. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Penei Sewell to the Falcons. Kind of surprising there.
Okay.
Jamar Chase, number 5 to the Bengals. If I'm the Bengals, I'm pissed. Number 6, Jalen Waddle to the Dolphins. This is what you were talking about. Dolphins are enamored with Jalen Waddle. So available to the Lions are Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, Micah Parsons, Trey Lance, Rashawn Slater. Any of these? Or, again, now there's 7 teams that are looking to trade with the Lions. Chargers at number 13, Vikings 14, Bears 20, Titans 22, Steelers 24, Saints 28, Bengals 38.
so you said Kyle Pitts is available,
Yep.
Trey Lance is available, Micah Parsons is available. Who else?
Devontae Smith
Devontae Smith.
and Rashawn Slater.
Knowing I can't trade back to 15 and get a really high return, is the return trading back to 9?
No, can't do 9.
Assuming
Broncos don't want 9.
they
Or
don't want Trey
7
Lance this
here.
time?
Nope.
They wanted Trey Lance last time.
Apparently not. They didn't want Trey Lance. They wanted Mac Jones, which he's also still available. But they probably assume at 9, with both Lance and Jones available, knowing we're here, he's not going to be the guy we take. So Mac Jones probably is going to be available to them at 9.
Basically, what I was going to say is getting a third this year and a second next year worth giving up someone like Kyle Pitts? And I was going to say no. But considering we don't even have that on the board.
We do have Kyle Pitts available. To go to number 9.
yeah.
Right. 13 is the next highest pick you can trade back to.
And 13 is the Chargers.
Yep.
Again, I'm assuming Mike Parsons probably goes at 10. I'm like, obviously you can go past that, but I'm gonna for the sake of this exercise, I'm assuming he goes at 10 and not try to project he goes past the Cowboys. You know, it'd be great if he did. I think I might stay put in this scenario and take Kyle Chase because you don't have as much leverage. Kyle Pitts, because you don't have as much leverage with 2 QBs on the board as you would with 1. The desperation isn't there from other teams quite yet. So I might stay put and take Kyle Pitts.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would be pretty happy with Kyle Pitts here as well. However, just for the sake of I want to see what would be available to us at 13, let's go ahead and make a trade with the Chargers here.
Okay.
We want 13. What would it take for? What was the mock trade that was in the article we talked about earlier with the Chargers?
There wasn't one.
Okay.
I gave you one. I gave you their first next year, third and a fifth. Was it
this year? Mm-hmm. I think you would probably have to give up your fourth this year as well to get that to happen. Mm-hmm. But let's see.
And then I told you, assuming Rashawn Slater is still on the board as well.
He is.
But that was with Penei Sewell still on the board there at the time. That was the scenario.
So let's see if this offer goes through. It was rejected, and that was me throwing in a fourth. That's
because we don't have Penei Sewell sitting at 7. We can't take that king's ransom from him.
So let's say 2 firsts and a fourth. So 2 firsts for our first and our fourth. So we essentially swap 4th round picks. We move back in the 4th. We move back in the 1st, but we add a 4th. Sorry, a 5th, not a 4th. So we move up.
But we get their first next year?
Yes, but we get their first next year.
Okay.
So we'd actually move up in the 4th if we swap 4th round picks.
And is that trade accepted, or you haven't proposed? Are you just proposing that right now?
Decline.
Okay. Yeah. Nope. Screw them. I'm saying taking Kyle Pitts.
All right. Now, I am just to humor me. I'll agree with you. But just to humor me here, I want to see what it'd be like to move back to number 24 with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, Lord. You definitely have to give me a first-round pick next year.
Yes, I would argue you'd have to give me a first, 2 firsts, a 3rd, and a 4th for me to be willing to move that far back.
Throw that out there. What happens?
They accepted it. So we got 24 and their first next year, and we also got a 4th and a 5th this year.
I thought you said a 3rd and a 4th.
Yeah, I think I messed up and picked the wrong numbers, but I got a 4th and a 5th.
Son of a... No wonder they accepted it.
But let's go ahead and resume to number 24. Available to us, Trayvon Moehrig from TCU, Greg Newsome, corner from Northwestern, Elijah Moore, wide receiver from Ole Miss, Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan, Jason Awe, the edge rusher from Penn State, Walker Little, tackle from Stanford, Terrence Marshall Jr., wide receiver from LSU. Honestly, I'm staring at the edge rushers in the face and saying, thank you very much, I'll take one. Which one do you want, Kwity Paye or Jason Awe? I like Kwity Paye. I think he's a hell of a football player.
My Michigan State bias is steering me away from him, but I'll agree with you.
I'm going to take Kwity Paye here. So I liked what we got there. I'm not going to lie to you. So let's go ahead and start a new one. We'll do one more. Mm-hmm. One more here. All right. So available to us now. Ooh, you're going to like this one. So number 1, Trevor Lawrence. 2, Zach Wilson. Big surprise there. 3, Justin Fields again. 4, Jamar Chase. 5, Devontae Smith to the Bengals.
Oh, yeah.
6, Micah Parsons to the Miami Dolphins.
What?
Yep. So at number 7, we have Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Trey Lance, Rashawn Slater, Christian Barmore. Andrew, who are you taking here at this spot?
Horrible.
This is amazing.
I hate you for making me make this decision.
Why?
It's Penei Sewell, but at the same time, like, I almost want to trade back up and take Jamar Chase at number 8.
Chase is gone. Chase was taken at number 4.
Oh, I thought you said Jamar Chase is available. Oh, I was saying Kyle Pitts available.
Kyle Pitts, Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle is okay. Sorry. Okay, yeah, no, it's a little easier then. Penei Sewell.
I run up to the podium with Penei Sewell pick, 100%. Yeah.
But
100%.
Now do you see why I was having a conundrum?
Yes.
Because I had all 3 of my 3 favorite guys at 7 all on the board as what I thought.
In this mock, we also have Elijah Moore to us in the second round. So that's a pretty solid win to get if you wanted a receiver. Mm-hmm. But so that is going to call for our mocks here. We mocked a couple trades, and we ended up taking a couple guys there.
I want to ask you a quick one real quick before we close this out with our final question. So when in our pre-show, I rated one of the mocks, and we're sitting at number 7 with Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Rashawn Slater available. Are you taking one of those guys? Or are you moving back? Oh, and Mac Jones is the lone QB available.
So that was Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase,
Rashawn Slater, and Micah Parsons and Devontae Smith are all available.
It's going to depend on what's offered to me, and I'm assuming the Broncos would be willing to move up to number 7 there. It's going to depend on what's offered to me because I would assume the Broncos would probably go and take Mac Jones at number 7. Then that would leave the Panthers probably looking at a wide receiver to replace Curtis Samuel, so Jamar Chase probably would be gone. So I'd be moving back to get essentially Kyle Pitts or Rashawn Slater at number 9. It would depend on what they'd be willing to give up to move up there. So it probably wouldn't be enough for me to be willing to pass on Jamar Chase and downgrade, so to speak, from that. But Kyle Pitts is still pretty damn exciting at number 9, so I might be willing to do it, depending on what's offered to me.
Yeah, I was very curious what you would do there, but I agree. It's my pick there is probably I lean Jamar Chase over Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
but my pick there probably Jamar Chase, depending on what's offered to me. But if I'm sitting at 7, I actually would probably go Jamar Chase.
No, I would as well. If Jamar Chase available to me, really at number 7 in all likelihood, if the board falls like in a dream scenario for me, where Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Trey Lance, Rashawn Slater, all available, I lean Penei Sewell. My pick is Penei Sewell, but second is Jamar Chase, and then it's Kyle Pitts.
Perfect. I agree 100%. And that's a perfect lead into our final question here is, what's your ideal scenario on Thursday night? What would, at least in the first round, what would have you come out saying A+ draft?
Penei Sewell.
Realistic ideal scenario.
Right. Trevor Lawrence falling. No, it's Penei Sewell is really the only true ideal pick for me with the Lions at number 7. Like that is home run, A+, run up to the podium, do the helicopter dance in Roger Goodell's face as he hugs Penei Sewell, because that's the man you just took. Because he's allowed to hug the players this year.
So
I think that is the weirdest thing ever.
If I told you where you could move back to 15 and get like a king's ransom from the Patriots, do you take it's Penei Sewell, then a king's ransom trade back for you?
Yes, it is, because that is my next tier down scenario of what I would want to happen. If it's not Penei Sewell, that is my next ideal scenario. If he's not there, then I want to have a trade happen to where I get a really good return, including a first round pick next year, to then grab. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. One of my low-key favorite mocks that we just did, one of my low-key favorite scenarios we just did, was the one where we got Kwity Paye at towards the back third of the first round. And the reason I say is because edge rush is a huge need. And again, building from the trenches out, and he's part of that. So I'll be honest with you. I do
believe you could have got a third in that trade rather than a fourth.
I do too. I'll agree with you 100%. But I would absolutely love to see the Lions move back if they, if Penei Sewell's not there, and get a king's ransom and then go get themselves one of the top tier edge rushers in this draft. That would excite the hell out of me to where I'd say A+, like no question.
No, I think we're in alignment because my ideal scenario sitting at 7 is you sit there and you say Penei Sewell if he falls to you, basically hoping someone like Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle is taken by Cincy, which will allow that to happen. But and I agree that my number 2 scenario is a trade back where specifically a trade back that nets you a first round pick in a future draft, be it 2022, 2023. And then after that, it's stay at 7 and pray to God one of Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts is there, because I don't want Micah Parsons at number 7. I'd rather trade back to have him. But those are probably my top 3 scenarios right there.
So just a quick question. It's the Miami Dolphins that have the several first round picks in this year's draft, correct?
Yes.
Yes. What if the Dolphins got a little frisky and wanted number 7 after taking number 6 and gave you both of their next first round picks, 18, I think it's 30 or 31, to get number 7? Are you doing that?
They have 18. I'm
6, 18, and maybe it's a first round pick next year that they have.
Yeah, maybe. But you tell me if they traded me 18 and their first round pick next year to move back up to number 7.
Yes.
And that's to take who?
Whoever they want. I'm just throwing out where Miami's getting frisky and wanting to go back-to-back picks.
I don't think they're doing that for Penei Sewell, but they seem to really like the receiver in this draft. So if they're doing that, I would assume someone like Because I'm going to go up beyond the assumption that if Jamar Chase is in there at number 6, they take him. And then I could probably see them moving back, trying to move back up for Kyle Pitts in your scenario.
That'd be wild.
Or maybe if Jalen Waddle is there and they actually are enamored with Jalen Waddle.
Again, I really don't think this is a realistic scenario.
Oh, it's not. I'm just playing ball here. I'm gonna say I'm a sucker for first round picks. If you're netting me, it's just 18. So I'll tell you what, I will take it, but I need more. Like I probably need like a third this year, maybe 2.
All right. What if they gave you 18? What if they gave you 18, 36, and their first next year?
Done. That's their 18, their second round pick, and a first. Yeah,
that'd be the Texans' second round pick that they'd be giving you there. So
done.
Yeah, I'd probably do that. And then I would think the Lions would move back to 18, maybe get Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater, or Kwity Paye if he's there. So
want to know something fun? You know who goes at 18 in Chris Sims mock draft?
Cool.
Kwity Paye.
Hey, all right. Well, edge rusher is a big position of need for the Dolphins.
And he has Rashawn Slater available there, which I don't think he will be, but anything can happen.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I really like that scenario. It's not going to happen. But when there's a world where Mike Ditka traded every single one of his draft picks to get his guy, there's a world where the Dolphins go and get number 7 from the Lions after taking their pick at number 6.
I just can't believe he agreed to the magazine photo shoot after. I'd be like, no, this is emasculating. Stop it.
Oh, man, that is going to call for this week, guys. We hope you enjoyed. Next time we talk to you, Lions will have made their pick. So you'll probably be getting to this day, draft day. It'd be my guess. Maybe the day before, but probably on draft day. So we hope you enjoy. We're curious to hear your thoughts as well leading into the draft. And this is is this the first year we haven't done a live draft show? Did we do one last year?
It would have been right around. No, we did not do one last year.
Okay.
I think we stopped. Well, we might have. Maybe we started it. I don't know. We didn't do a live draft show. We did not.
Okay.
Sorry, we did not.
So, but either way, we'll be probably active on Twitter talking about it, and we'll give our thoughts. But next week we'll give our in-depth and full thoughts and what our reactions were from the Lions picks. So follow us on Twitter at RealFanReport. Andrew, thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast as always. We will catch you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy the draft and have a good week. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.